Hello, everyone. So this is just a short video essay I am making, as I am making two much larger videos that will take forever to freaking edit. But then again, this will still take long. But basically, this is just a short video in order to satiate the algorithm because, well, you know, a week could. Actually, why am I caring about the algorithm? To be honest, I don't really get people who worry so much about like, oh, I need to make my views to subscriber ratio bigger than, because, like, I mean, doesn't really matter. I've seen YouTubers who have like 5 million 5 million subscribers and get like several hundred thousand views, which is still pretty good. And in my case, I still get more than my subscriber count, which is about 44, which I know to many it sounds sad, but don't worry, I quite like it. But anyway, here's the video, and yeah, have a nice time. Alpha males. You know them. You can also either love them or hate them. But while I hate the inherent and gender hierarchical structure meant to not only push down women, but to also divide men, just like the Nazis who made subcategories for white people, but this time between sigma, alpha, beta, omega, and gamma males, and the inherent anti democracy elements of this alpha male movement, there's something far more concerning about this sort of subculture and ideology that does very much concern me about the future of just how men and like political discussion will go on moving forward. And this concerning element is the inherent militarism of the alpha male movement. You see, while I was studying this movement with all its heads and figures, the top alpha male influencers, social media uh, types, politicians, and businessmen are always rattling on about how the men of D Day and the soldiers of the past were always. You know what? Let me say this a bit better. Alpha males are always rattling on about the men of D Day and the masculinity and power of soldiers, constantly going on about how if a war comes today, all of today's men are going to do nothing and die crying. And even though those same alpha males would cry like little babies when they have to enlist for their country, there's a common trend nonetheless, and it's that they glorify soldiers and the act of war. Now, when I say that they glorify soldiers, I don't mean that they respect them in the appreciative sense for keeping our nation safe. Rather, they glorify the image of what a soldier stands for: honor, God, country, bravery, masculinity, and rabid violence. And they constantly go on about the soldiers of certain countries, like the men who stormed the beaches in Normandy and the German Wehrmacht, because they are an idealized version of men, men of power, bravery, and strength, the true ideal manifestation of the masculinity men should embody. Even though I think it's not a hot take to say that many of those soldiers, no matter whose side they were on, hated the conflicts they were thrown in and never wished anybody else to be thrown into the horrors of war. Like every soldier that you can think of p- fights not because they love conflict, but it's because they want to keep the people of their country side or whoever else safe and like not have to face the war. But the alpha male movement does not care about this. They simply love the idea of making the weak men become soldiers and making them stronger through the most terrifying thing humanity can go through: war. Though they never say it explicitly, all alpha male progenitors and leaders of this culture would love to send those men who are seen as weak and worthless into wars and to see who can rise above the violence and death as stronger men, as alpha males. They want warfare. They want men to die and grow stronger. They want men to be ruthless, to be quote unquote brave, and die in glorious circumstances, or live on to be great leaders and forceful, brave, and masculine men. Yet those same people who constantly spout on about how war and violence and mass and the lack of masculinity of today's men will sit in their mansions and try to use their money to evade national service. And this love of war doesn't come from any established ideal other than the hardening of men. No, it's just mindless violence for the sake of making men strong. But then why do they do that? But if there is no other ideal to strive for other than that goal, why do they do this? And the answer to that question is very simple. It's because they are all idiots. They may think violence and warfare is how men become strong, but it really isn't. Sure, some men may do become stronger in such environments, but not because they are violent, ruthless, or brave, but because they've seen hell. And the fact that they think to glorify the dead men of the past as nothing more than mindless warriors of pure masculinity is wrong. It's wrong and disrespectful to those who have died to fight so that generations of people could live in peace no matter which side they were on. To make an analogy, the alpha male movement is just like Big Boss from Metal Gear Solid, and Big Boss's goal was to form a world of endless warfare so that people could find freedom through violence. But instead of freedom, the alpha male movement seeks to make certain, and I really emphasize this, certain men strong through an ever present environment of war and violence. But that leads me to my final question. Why am I talking about this? Why? Like, you're not involved with this. You have no stake in this game. The alpha male movement may move on afterwards. Die out. Well, I am saying this because this type of rhetoric is happening now, and it's wrong. I think it's deeply wrong. You see, I identify as a liberal moralist, meaning that I want to see everyone in the world be free and equal and happy and acting morally good. As far as I can see it, I hate war. It's not a glorious ideal or objective or necessary evil that needs to be done. It's an abomination of human nature, and something that needs to be stopped. But while I hate war, I hate those who advocate or glorify it, like the alpha male movement, ignorant idiots, nationalists, communists, traditionalists, fundamentalists, and so many others. Not only do I hate them for trying to advocate for such an evil state of nature, but I hate how they disrespect the soldiers who had fought for our rights to freedom and peace. From the Allied soldiers of World War II, the French Army of the Great War, the American War of Independence, the Polish uprisings, the Sino-Japanese War, and so many conflicts where the end result was a long and righteous peace, they are disrespecting those soldiers. And while many people of today claim that we, the younger generations from Gen Z to Generation Alpha, are out of touch, don't know war, don't understand what D-Day was like, don't have the grit or the understanding of the need for national service, I think that's a good thing. We don't know war, we've never faced it, and we aren't threatened to be sent off to die for some insane, pointless conflict. And I think that's a good sign of better days, and it's a quiet way we honor the dead. So to those who love war, who love violence, who see it merely as a test of strength, as a test of ideology, as a test to see who can come out on top, I sincerely say to you two words: screw you. And to the rest of us, let us embrace and do whatever it takes to protect our freedom, our peace, and most of all, we should spread that dream to the rest of the world. From Ukraine to Sudan to Palestine to Taiwan, we should always protect those that share our common values. And with that, I wish you all a good day, and goodbye.